What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a profile for Centurion. This is one of the brand new decks. This is the most hyped of all of the decks from Valiant Smashers, and I'm going to show you a profile. I'll take you through different options you can add to the deck as well to show its variety, and I'll also show you the main combo at the end so you have everything in a nice video for you. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, we're going to dive head first into the profile. So, you start off with Centurion Premier. Now, this is the main card alongside probably what is sister, and that's Yugioh, which I'll talk about her in a second. So it's a level 4 spellcaster tuner. While this card is a continuous trap card, level 5 or higher Centurion monsters you control, so the Synchros and one main deck boss monster, cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If it is normal or special, you get to add a Centurion card from your deck to the hand except itself. You cannot special summon Centurion Premier for the rest of the turn. During the main phase, if this card is a continuous trap card, you get to special summon this card. So obviously all of their first effects stop them then being able to be special summoned from the spell and trap zone, but the idea is you then want to special summon the other one, synchro summon, move your plays further forward, and then repeat that synchro summon during your opponent's turn. Then of course we've got triple Yugioh, and now this one is a pyro but it is not a tuner. During your main phase, you get to place this card you control and one Centurion monster from your hand or deck except itself into your spell and trap zone as face-up continuous traps. Also, you cannot special summon Centurion Yugioh for the rest of this turn. During the main phase, if this card is a continuous trap card, you get to special summon this card, and then you can increase its level by 4. You can only use each of the effects once per turn. The final one is the one Emith. Now this one is during your opponent's turn, if this card is in the hand or graveyard, you gain a quick effect to target a Centurion monster you control except itself and place it into the spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous trap card. If you do special summon this card, also you cannot special summon itself for the rest of the turn. During the main phase, if this is a continuous trap card, you get to special summon this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. So obviously the idea is that Yugioh, or of course Premier, is going to get you your Emith, and Emith is then going to be able to summon itself out to make you a Synchro level 12, which is either going to be the Legita or it's going to be the Crimson Dragon. The reason you're only playing one of this, so unless you're playing Desires in the build where you might play 2 of it, is an ideal brick. You don't want it to be the one you see in your hand, you want it to be the one you place into your spell and trap zone from the deck. And as you can see already, the art type already has 3 ultra rares. If it needs anything more, it's also going to get another ultra rare in the form of Emblem Oath. So you activate one of these effects. It is a quick play spell card. Place one Centurion monster from your deck into your spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous trap card. Nice. So I now have 6 ways to get to Premier, 6 ways to get to Yugioh. Consistency is key. For the rest of this turn, while you control that card and any card with the same original name, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except Centurion monsters. So obviously, ideally using this, you're going to lock yourself down completely, which is when you force yourself to go into the Legita, but you want to make sure that you've got the ability to Crimson Dragon off of the back of the Legita as well in order to get you into your Crimson Dragon turn skip. You can also set a Centurion spell trap directly from your deck. So you get to use one or the other, you're either placing or you're setting. More times than not, you're going to be placing. Then you've got Stand Up Centurion. This is the field spell. It also comes as a collector's rare. They definitely did not hold back anything with this deck. Cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Very nice. While you control a Centurion monster card. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you get to send one card from your hand to the graveyard and place one Centurion monster from your deck into your spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous trap card. If a monster or monsters is special summoned, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, synchro summon one synchro monster using monsters you control as material, including a Centurion monster. Now, why is that so important? Well, that's just increased my access to Premier from 6 to 9, which is absolutely insane. Yes, you will need an additional card to do so, but you can see where the consistency of this is going. On top of that, it lets you synchro during your opponent's turn, which is where you're going to get your King Calamity turn skip. The final cards that we're playing for the Centurion is the 1 Centurion Bonds and the 1 Centurion Phalanx. Now, of course, you don't have to play these. These are entirely optional to you. I feel all of the others, as you can see, apart from the Emith, we are maxing out on. So Bond is a quick play spell card to place a Centurion monster from your hand or graveyard into your spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous trap. And then if a Centurion synchro monster or monsters is special to your field while this card is in the graveyard, you get to banish this card, then target one Centurion monster in your graveyard and place it into your spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous trap. You can only use each effect once per turn, and the reason we play this is just for the bit of the grind game. You've then got the Phalanx. Now Phalanx is allowing you to target a face-up monster card on the field and banish it. If you do, during the standby phase of the next turn, you special summon that banished monster to its owner's field. So it means you can dodge certain effects, targeted effects on your own field as well, to allow you to dodge a monster out and then bring the monster back during the next standby phase as well. On top of that as well, you can banish this card from the graveyard to target one Centurion synchro monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but it loses 1500 attack. You can only use one effect per turn and only once that turn. So again, grind game, it allows you to start getting back some of your resources and starting everything off again from such small investment. So moving on to the non-Centurion cards. I'm playing triple Kashtira Fenrir. It's just a great card going first, going second. Gives you that search should you want for more discard effects if you are playing something like Forbidden Droplet. Nice board interruption, and you're not really locking yourself into anything once you start off with a Fenrir. I've then gone with Triple Pot of Prosperity. Now this does clash with the draw effect of the Lagitha. So if you don't want to, So if you don't want to have that clash, some people are playing Desires. I feel Desires is a little bit riskier on the whole main deck. You could also play Extrav, but Extrav is extremely risky on the extra deck, even though you have a lot of flex spots, so Prosperity is the default best option. Then what is making this deck is incredibly powerful is the fact that it can play so many hand traps. Now everything I'm going to show you can be adapted to your local environment. You can main deck Drolls, Ghost Ogres, Ghost Bells, you can play more board breaks if you want to. There's just so much space. On top of that as well, you do have other options to play. You can play the Horus cards. There is the possibility of playing the Super Heavy Samurai cards as well. You have so much flexibility, which is what I like about this deck. Is technically only 15 main deck Centurion cards is what's required. That then gives you 25 cards that can be whatever you want within reason. Now, you could play the adventure package if you wanted to, but then you'd be relying on all of your effects to become special summons rather than normal summons. You can play other engines as well, as long as they synergize with the rest of the deck, because you're only really locking yourself into Centurions when you activate Oath, and that's something you don't want to really be doing instantly. So for the hand traps, Veilers, Ashes, Imperms, Nibs, Bestials. Now, again, like I said, you adapt these to your local environment. You could, if you wanted to, take out the Bestials. You could play stuff like Crossout Designator if you wanted to. It is entirely up to you on what you feel your local environment is going to be like, what you feel your playstyle matches, and everything else in between. I'm also playing 2 Talents, 2 Droplets, 1 Call By, and then again, this puts the deck up to a 42 card deck, but I just wanted to show you this as you do have an option of playing something along the lines of Super Poly. Now, you shouldn't need to technically play Super Poly because the idea is, and what I've tried to go away from for the deck, even though it's naturally what the deck can do so well, is Calamity skip your opponent's turn and then OTK the next turn. I quite like the idea of having the balance of being able to break my opponent's board successfully, as well as being able to build and stop my opponent playing as successful as possible, which is why I came down to Super Poly. When we get to the extra deck, I'll show you the other cards you can take out and change in place of the Super Poly targets in the extra deck. It really does come down to personal preference, play style, and just how you want to do it. You've also got options for like Book of Eclipses. You could play Trill Tactics Thrust with stuff like Dark Hole, Lightning Storms, Dusters, entirely up to you. So that's it for the main deck. I'm now going to show you the extra deck. So for the extra deck on this one, I've gone with 2 Lagitha. Obviously 1 Quarter Century. If gone with 2 of this, you can very easily play 1 if you want to. You have so much flexibility. The idea is that you can make the extra deck follow what you put in the main deck. And what I mean by that is if your additional engine is the Horus engine, you can play more rank 8s. If it goes for the Super Heavy Samurais, you can play stuff like your... you can very easily make your way or make your plays through the back of something like the Stardust Dragon and everything else in between. So obviously Lagitha is your best one. Now this one is your monsters with 2000 or less attack cannot be destroyed by battle. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you get to draw a card, and then you can destroy the monster your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice if tied. During the end phase, you get to place one non-synchro Centurion monster from your hand or graveyard into your spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous. Now, obviously, the draw is quite nice, but it's not a necessity. The idea is that you summon it. Yes, the draw would be great, but if you've used Prosperity, obviously keep in mind you can't draw, which is why people are moving towards this Pot of Desires, but it really does come down to how you want to adapt the deck. And the reason that's so important is because you're going to want to make Crimson Dragon. Crimson Dragon targets the Lagita, sums itself out. Now the reason that this works is obviously during your turn you make this one, you get the draw. During your opponent's turn you make this, and then you use this to target this, put itself back, and make Calamity. And then you skip your opponent's turn and, you know, everyone has fun except your opponent. The other synchros that you can play off of the back of something like the Crimson Dragon target is you can also go to Super Heavy Samurai, the Big Brave. This is great just as a 4K booty that can attack and defense and can replenish your hand advantage. You can play stuff like Cosmic Blaze or Dragon, entirely up to you. Baron for the Bestial, so Bestial plus the level 4, make sure it's synchro level 10. If you wanted to play more of the Bestials, you could actually go with a Bestial build involving going down the Lubellium route. That will then unlock you more synchro level 10 options. It also gives you the ability to have a level 8 on the board to give you into your level 12 synchros on a more consistent basis. That's probably something I would probably go more towards rather than Horus, but I still do like the way that that works. And then for the rest of the deck, it's entirely up to you. So you've got Typhoon, can be a Zeus if you want to. Synchros, you've got IP, SP, Selene, because keep in mind, the wherever it may be, the first Centurion that I showed you, Premier, is a spellcaster. So work your way into that. You can also play some of the Charmers, the Light Charmer, the Dark Charmer, entirely up to you, leading into an access code for 2 pops plus 3k. And then for your super poly target, it's pretty generic: Mud Dragon, Garura, and Dracus Tepelia. Now, before I close this video off or move into the combo, another option, and shout out to Kyron on this one, is you can actually play the Magistus engine in the extra deck instead if you want to. Now, these are just going to be the targets that you're going to attach to this guy here. Now, the reason this is kind of cool for the option is that the idea is that this needs a Spellcaster Tuner, which is obviously Premier is, and then another level 4 monster, which is very easy to do. If it is Synchro Zoned, you get to equip the Magister monster from your extra deck to this card. Your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters with the same card type, Fusion, Synchro, XYZ, or Link, as the Magister's monster in your spell and trap zone. If this card is in the graveyard, you get to target a Magister card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Zoro once per turn. But the idea is that if you wanted to play this and you're like, I don't want to do Calamity turn skip, that's so boring, I'd rather just kind of mitigate what you can play, some of the effects you can play, I now have the options. The issue is it is a 5-card engine for your extra deck, so it does take up a huge amount of space, but I thought it was a kind of cool option to show you and highlight that this is an option you can use. So that is it for the main profile. I'm now going to show you how easy it is in this deck to make the Calamity skip. So let's skip to that combo as fast as we skip our opponent's turn, like this. Starting off with the very basic combo. It's technically a 1.5 card combo, but do not worry, you will replace this card during the combo as well. So whether you are going to be learning to play this deck or if you are going to be facing it, you need to know exactly how easy it is to get to its end board of basically skipping your entire turn and how to interact with it best. So we're going to start off with the Premier. Keep in mind, it doesn't have to be exactly Premier. You do have access to get directly into stand-up Centurion. You also have the ability to get directly into the Tradia. You also have the ability to go through stuff like Oath as well. This is one of the best ways to stop it with stuff like Imperms, Veilers, and of course Ghost Ogres, because then they're no longer there as continuous trap cards. And heck, when they activate themselves as continuous trap cards, Ghost Ogre them, they go. So we're going to normal summon the Premier. We're going to use this effect when it's normal or special to search out Centurion card, and we're going to go for the stand-up Centurion. You're going to activate the field spell. You're going to use the field spell's effect to send a card from the hand to the graveyard in order to put a Centurion from the deck into the spell and trap zone, and you're going to want to go for your Tradia. You then get to use Tradia's effect as it is treated as a continuous trap card to special summon itself. You can increase its level by 4 if you want to. We're not going to in this example here. In doing so, you're then going to be able to use its other effect to put itself into the spell and trap zone, while also putting the Emmet from the deck into the spell and trap zone as well. You will then use Emmet's effect to summon itself forward, and that will then give you the ability as an 8 and a 4 to synchro into a 12, being your Lagita. Lagita will then give you the ability to draw 1 card, so you replace the card you just discarded, or you discarded at the start of the combo. You then move to the end phase. The end phase will then allow you to put the Premier into the spell and trap zone, leave Emmet in the graveyard. During your opponent's turn, because he's a continued or considered continuous trap card, you can use their effects to summon themselves. The one you want to protect is the Premier. Premier will then give you the ability to search out a follow-up, whether it be another stand-up Centurion, or whether it be a follow-up of something like Bonds, you can go for as well. Then what you want to do is you want to use the MF effect in the graveyard to put the Yugioh into the spell and trap zone and summon itself out. In doing so, you can then trigger the stand-up Centurion to synchro these two together again, looping into another level 12, being your Crimson Dragon. You then use Crimson Dragon's effect to target the Lagita, then use its effect in order to tag itself out and go into King Calamity, skipping your opponent's entire turn. Then what you do is you come back to your turn, you draw one card, you've got the Yugioh that can summon and start all of this over again, and you already have 7,500 damage on board. It's absolutely insane. It is incredibly consistent. The only downside of the entire deck is that it can be hit by multiple hand traps. You'll saw throughout that entire combo as well is that we didn't run into a Nibiru. Most of the summons were done during our opponent's turn, and even then they still couldn't Nibiru us. The deck is absolutely insane when it gets going, but is very fragile. The hype behind this deck is absolutely insane. I do not believe, maybe controversial, maybe everyone agrees with it, that this deck is worth the £400, 350-ish that is currently being quoted for it. But I do feel what this deck has going for it is the insane amount of flexibility. The fact that the deck only needs 15 cards in the main deck in order to tick along, it gives you so much flexibility to put in a variety of options, whether you want to log it down with hand traps, whether you want to go with board breakers, whether you want to go for an OTK push, is absolutely insane. And I do like the idea behind it, I just can't justify it. And again, quite like with Vanquished Souls, the reason that this deck is so expensive is because it contains so many ultra rares from the set. Straight away, there's 5 ultra rares in the entire set. They also have a good handful of collector rares as well. And even then, each of these are looking at about £30 each on these 3 here. Probably going to close down to about 10 to 15s on each of these because they only need to be played technically at 1. Anyway, I hope this has been informative. I hope it's given you a bit of an insight into the deck, what it does, how it operates, and just kind of what you need to be aware of or how you play it if you're looking to build it or face it at your local environment. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Any questions at all, by all means, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.